Braveheart Workshops is hosting a virtual online event, Creating Hope, Health, and Healing in 2021. Transformation through empowerment and connection. Embrace the truth that you are loved and matter. Join us on Friday, March 12, 2021 from 1 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During this time of uncertainty, find ways to manage stress, balance your emotions, replenish your energy, promote well-being for yourself and loved ones. Take time to pray and meditate. Give purpose to what you want to achieve in your life pertaining to hope, health, and healing. Join us as our speakers share their stories. Our lineup of speakers include Jill Reynolds, the founder of Braveheart Workshops and our event host. Dr. Laura Wood, our keynote speaker, speaking on embodiment. Krista Alicia, our special guest speaker. Patricia Rogers, Dr. Susie Warden, Alana De La Cruz, Heidi Salzberg-Wild, and Tanya Gibson. The event will be recorded live. After the event, you will receive the recording by email. If you can't attend, you could watch it anytime. Your investment is only $28.99, so please register now. Go to braveheartworkshops.com. The event again is March 12th, 2021 from 1 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please go to braveheartworkshops.com and register today. The Connection Show, Creating Hope, Health, and Healing, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is my friend Richard Kaye from New Mexico. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Hey, Jill. Nice to meet you on a gorgeous day in both our landscapes.
Oh, it's just a privilege that I was blessed to find you and have the opportunity to share with the audience your amazing story. So, Richard, I'd love to share your bio first with the audience. Richard Kaye received his Bachelor of Science Degree in Business from Long Island University in 1973 and his Doctorate of Chiropractic from the Columbia Institute of Chiropractic in New York City. After 30 years in private practice in San Diego, he retired to pursue the entrepreneurial life. Prior to entering the field of healthcare, he was an electronics engineer working in the field of communications. His distinguished career includes being named Outstanding Doctor of the Year in 1981, as well as Doctor of the Year in 1983 by the San Diego County Chiropractic Society. He also served as president of the San Diego County Chiropractic Society. Dr. Kaye is also an internationally acclaimed lecturer, having presented seminars and workshops worldwide. Richard sat on the advisory board of Brian Anderson Entertainment. He is a faculty member of CEO Space and serves on the board of directors for the Taos Entrepreneurial Network. Richard's been featured on TV discussing two of his specialties, team building and super networking, and an in-depth story about the leading edge healthcare he practiced. He is the author of the highly acclaimed book, The Secrets of Empowering Negotiation, and he resides in New Mexico. So what an amazing man you are. And as we continue and the audience knows about you, I want you to know I lived in San Diego from 1973 to about 1981.
Wow. What part of San Diego? Where were you?
Oh, I was a drifter. I was in La Jolla, in Point Loma, Crown Point, Pacific Beach. So different
Ah,
places, but I love San Diego. Well,
America's
welcome to the
capital.
show, and you are an amazing man. And I don't know how you have the energy to do all the things. I couldn't list all the boards you're on because we would have been on here for 20 more minutes because you're on so many boards.
It comes with the territory of being in service to people, Jill. You know that. It's like your
Yes,
life.
yes. Well,
When you,
you're a giver. You're a giver, and I wanted to start in, Richard, one of the joys of the Connection show, I think. My show is very unique. I don't usually, and people always say, what questions should I be prepared? And I always tell everyone, always come to my show with no intention. We live in a world of so much intention that I love for people just to show up and be. So the Connection show, Richard, is all about connecting the dots of story. So I always love to begin by asking you to be as transparent as you want to be and go back to being a little boy, little Richard growing up, and share with us what life for you was like and how that life evolved into creating who you became as this amazing man.
I'm laughing. Describe my family of origin as your typical post-World War II dysfunctional family. You know?
Then we'd get along great.
Yeah, it was. My father worked. My mother took care of the kids, the house, her hair, mahjong, did all the important things. And we lived in a community because I grew up in Elmont, Long Island, New York, and just didn't have a care in the world as a kid growing up. We were well nurtured, well cared for. My brother was actually, he now lives in Orlando. He's 4 years older than I. And we were not close as kids. And for the past, geez, I don't know, maybe decade, we speak probably twice a week just to connect.
Mm.
I left. I went to Northeastern University to pursue the degree in electronics engineering. I ultimately got my degree in management from Long Island University, immediately enrolled in chiropractic school, drove cross country to San Diego, where I'd never been, set up a practice, and thrived there for 30 years, Joe. And after I came across this organization named CEO Space, which I now work with, a 32-year-old organization, cited by Forbes and Inc. and London Financial Times as the #1 business growth conference. Well, I didn't want to participate because I thought I knew everything. I had my degree in business management. It was a BS degree, and that's just what it is. I learned how to go have a job in middle management. Well, over the first 9 months after my first program, my practice doubled. A couple of years later, I just shut it. I already owned 80 acres where I live now in Taos, New Mexico, drove a little bit east and took a year off and just enjoyed life and said, I can't retire. There's too much to do. So for the past 22 years, I've been serving entrepreneurs, helping them grow their business.
Wow. Well, I love the fact that you got a BS degree because I think most of them are BS.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and I say that because over the years when you meet people, they always go, "Oh, where did you go to college?" And I said, "Well, I community college. I took like beginning sales, advanced sales, psychology classes. At one point, I sold air freight and truck freight, so I took shipping, stores, and receiving and purchasing. And what's your degree?" And I said, my degree is hitchhiking in the School of Hard Knocks. So I love BS degrees because I think they're better than educational degrees because
Yeah.
you learn more.
One of my friends talks about his degree is EIEIO. He's brilliant. He's one of my mentors and a friend, and he's really clear. The degree doesn't matter. It's who you are as a person that matters.
And I'd
So,
love, and if you're willing, I always ask the question if you're willing because I always believe you never push someone until they're ready. I always believe that in life. So if this platform is for you and you're ready, do you want to go more in depth? You had mentioned you grew up in the typical World War dysfunctional home, and you kind of went over there quickly. When you say dysfunctional home, in my family of origin, the dysfunction was lots of adultery, lots of crazy alcoholism and stuff
Mm.
like that. So when you say dysfunctional home, it's such a, I believe in the world, Richard, to take a word or a story and take the film, you were in entertainment, so take the film back one frame and then one more frame. So this word dysfunction is big. What did that look like for you?
Well, fortunately, there was none of that stuff. No adultery, no alcoholism, no drugs. It was emotionally vacant.
Okay.
And I remember the first time, it may have occurred earlier, Jill, but the first time I have consciousness as an adult of saying to my father, I love you, when he was in a hospital recovering from a quadruple bypass. And that opened up a floodgate for him, for me, for my mother. So that was the extent of that dysfunction.
And how old was he then when he finally had when you this what was his age?
Probably mid 50s.
Okay.
He's gone a long time. My mother's gone a long time. So it was an awareness. Now, the gift in that is a gift in everything.
Mhm.
Is that my son and I, every time we talk, it's I love you, Dad, I love you, Jonathan, and the emails are love back and forth. As a matter of fact, he came over. My girlfriend's birthday was yesterday. He came over. He lives 5 minutes away, so it was very sweet. He came out over for and stayed for several hours. So that was the gift in that of
Mhm.
my being more emotionally available because they weren't.
Yeah, and it's amazing how the burden of not hearing I love you, you matter to me, how that like goes into our body of us as children, not knowing, are we good enough? Am I important? Do I matter? And then by hearing it for the first time and taking that into your spirit and your soul, what it
Mhm.
does to heal that burden.
Yeah, I didn't know I was missing it.
Ah,
I didn't have a reference.
okay.
Today, my best friend and I, a guy named Donnie Epstein and his wife Jackie, anytime we have an email, it's signed either XOXO or love, and it's expressed over and over and over again. It's one of the beautiful things about my organization, CEO Space, is it's a nurturing, caring culture where people come. Um, some of your viewers may or may not know Bob Proctor. He's one of the leading entrepreneurs on the planet, been at it for 40 years. One day, when we did live events, you remember those days, Bob is up in front of the room and he's actually teaching at my program in, I believe, in April. We get him very rarely, but he's just the master. He was one of the anchors of the video The Secret. So
Mm.
he's in the front of the room and he says, CEO Space is not a business conference. And it's like, what's he talking about? He says, it's a personal growth conference masquerading as business, where
Mm.
people come and you are just surrounded in a loving culture. So, yeah, it's this world needs more of that these days. The
You
Beatles
know,
had it.
you are warming my heart this morning. No, you are, Richard, because I can't tell you how over the top burnt out I am with all these Zoom invites I get to yet another empowerment, another workshop, another. Let me tell you who I am in my business. I am so like exhausted from hearing about what everyone's doing. I just wa That's why I said if you're willing to go deeper, because I'm like, I want to know you. I want to know you people out there. Like everyone listening, we want to know you because you matter to me. Yeah,
It makes a difference.
yeah.
My girlfriend and I were laughing the other day. God bless, she's an entrepreneur also. So when we work till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, it's good. Instead of honey, I'm home from work. It's 5 o'clock. Yeah, I want to go play. Um, and we were laughing at the ridiculous number of emails that we all get. Let me show you how I did this. Let me show. We don't care how they did it. What we want to know is how we can do it. And one of the beautiful things about CEO Space, Jill, is it's a place, it's a culture of, I know I said this a few times, of collaboration. You've been to networking events, and viewer, you've been to networking events too. And I assert you probably did, or maybe still do, the same thing that I know I used to do. Who's coming in as a patient? Or a lady says, who's going to buy my insurance? Who's going to buy a car? We live too much in this world that it's about me.
Mhm.
One of the beautiful things about CEO Space, and Forbes magazine really loved this, is that our cultural questions, and when you and I first met, it was during an event, and if you heard me, it was, what do you do and how may we serve you? And when you show up like that, and you've got everyone else showing up like that, it's amazing how fast your needs get met because you come from that place of contribution. It's
Yeah.
a whole
And I
different
think it makes so much of a difference, Richard, when the person asking that question genuinely means it. Because
yes,
it's almost becoming a question almost like, "Hi, how are you?" And you really don't care.
right.
And it's like, so hi, how can I serve you? And you can help me by da 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 da. And I no, how can I serve you?
Yes, different question.
A
Good
whole different
observation.
question. Like when
Yeah.
when I ask people, and I've been doing this lately, and it's a stretch for me, Richard. In fact, this morning I had to just pray and say, Father God, I'm like so done with doing this. Just you bring to the atmosphere of the world whomever feels like needs to be manifested to come to my virtual event because I was like feeling stress about who's going to come, and I just finally said, you know what? This event is not about me. It's about
Yes.
helping people to get in touch with their story and
Mm-hmm.
connect their dots for their own healing. And so it's not about me. So it's like if you want to come and go deeper in your life, then show up. And if you don't, that's okay because it's
Right.
not going to injure me. It's like if you want
Right.
to come, show up. And it's the same way when you ask someone, how can I serve you? You're
Mm-hmm.
generally saying, like, not like, let's not go into your 20 minutes of your business. How can I serve you? Like
Yes.
you as a human being. What are your needs? Get right. Am I right?
It changes the whole vibration, the whole consciousness of the conversation because so many of us are insignificance. It's all about me. And when we turn that around, and like you said, how can I serve you? Not what do you need for your business, and what do you need in 7 years? A woman, I have a parcel of land for sale, and I've got 4 people looking at it. And a woman just texted me and says, "Well, let me come look at it in a year." I said, "Honey, it's not going to be here in a year."
Yeah.
So we want to focus. What is it we need now? What serves us? How can we bridge the gap between where you are in your business and where you want to be, and where you are in your personal life and where you'd love to be in your personal life? And bridging that gap, Jill, is so important. That gap can be huge, or we can collapse it and make the change to bring it in and diminish that space.
So I want to
Versus,
I want to ask you if you do this because this is something I learned, Richard. Oh my goodness, this is aging me. I'm 67 years old. So in my 30s, I was selling air freight and truck freight for 15 years. And I had the most amazing female boss, and I'm unbelievable, who was like 10 years younger than me. And I heard her on the phone doing this, Richard. And I went in and I had to sit in her office. And she was on the phone trying to schedule an appointment. And this was her conversation. So I think this will go into what you're saying. She got on the phone and say, Richard, this is blah, blah, blah. And I'm with so and I'd love to schedule an appointment with you. I'm going to be in your area on Tuesday and Thursday next week. And I'd love to come in and sit down and do a needs assessment and assess your transportation needs so that as they arise, I might be better informed to serve you. What day is best for you? And
Mm-hmm.
she had a 98% closing ratio for an appointment. And I listened to her, and every single job thereafter, I used the exact same sentence. Like, I'd like to do a needs assessment of your business environment because I sold the very first multifunctional copiers when they hit the street and
Right.
document management systems. And I called on Packard Electric, a division of General Motors, Motorola. I had some big name customers. I have 32 recommendations on my LinkedIn, not because of me, but because I went in and assessed their needs and I heard their needs. And I literally mean this from the bottom of my heart. I would sit in the car and pray before I went into an appointment and say, God, if this client needs the services I offer today, open their eyes and show them. And if not, let me hear them and help direct them to what their needs would be best met with my competitors.
Brilliant. Love it. Yes, nobody has the solution to everybody.
No.
And the people who do, let me show you how I made $1 million in 42 hours. We all know that's BS. When you hit, as you do, Jill, the core and being in service, and that's probably why we have such a great connection, is we live in the same place of service. And the buzz expression today are servant leaders. That's how you come. There are so many people, and I've been in the business space doing this for 22 years, serving entrepreneurs. And I will totally acknowledge that in the beginning, I wasn't as gentle or as mindful. And I've grown into that to be that certain woman this morning. My God, her husband is now in hospice in her home. And I said, hey, you and I do not need to have this conversation. This is not serving you. So, he's dying of brain cancer, and it's heartbreaking. And I know other people who would try and sell her whatever they were selling. No, there's no room for it. Step back. Honor people, let them live their lives, and create the thirst that when they're ready, they will come. Just as you and I were talking before we were live, how people just show up in your life when the timing is right.
Right. And Rich, I think when you're serving others, your
Mm.
testimonies are not going to be about, oh, Jill's great. Oh, Jill's great. No. What the testimonies are going to come back as, because I have a few of these, and I'm saying them not to brag on me, but to share the servanthood. The testimonials that'll come back was when I did business with Jill, not when Jill did business with me. When I did business with Jill, she became a part of our corporate team. She
Right,
was no longer a vendor.
right,
She was
right.
an employee of our company, serving our company, not serving her own pocketbook. And I believe when you can really come alongside of people and you're then a part of their company
Mm-hmm.
and their family,
Right.
that's the shift. Do you not agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you become the servant, and toward part of that later on, I'm going to have an opportunity for your viewers to get some very valuable free information with no hooks attached. It's just how I, again, personally, I have evolved into being that servant of not a servant, but service in helping people.
So
So,
I want to shift with you. So as we've been saying this, and this is a tough one sometimes, and I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to ask this question first, and then this will come back to you. Okay? So the God gave me the feeling we're supposed to talk this year. I'm supposed to talk on hope, health, and healing. And you being a servant of health and healing, I love to look up definitions. I'm not a very educated person book wise, but so I need sometimes to read definitions to understand them. So the word hope is defined to cherish a desire with anticipation, to
wow.
want something to happen to be true, hoping for a promotion, hoping for the best. Um, but in the Bible, it says hope is used to mean um, the confident expectation of
Wow.
what God has promised, and its strength is in his faithfulness. What
Wow.
is hope for you in 2021?
Mhm. I've never looked at hope because to me, hope is an empty word meaning, okay, God, bring it on. You know the classic story of God, let me win the lottery. And we repeat that. So, well, you got to buy a ticket first. Okay, I hope to win it. You have to take the action steps. So my life, yes, is purpose driven without the hope of an outcome. I don't remember whether it was pre-roll or when we were live. Actually, it was before you said you invite people to come here with no expectation. When I invite people to come to CEO Space, I invite them to come with a beginner's mind. Have no expectation because at CEO Space, and I tell people this, you may not get what you want, but you will get what you need in perfect universal timing. So I know your hope, health, and healing, you know, I'm more purpose driven than just to be, because I've seen too many people in the metaphysical space, and I'll speak to that in a moment. Oh, God, I hope this happens. No, you've got to take the action steps. I think one of the worst things that happened through the new age is I do not have a headache. I do not, these affirmations. Geez, my head hurts. I do not have a headache. There is,
let's hope it away.
there is such a disconnect between the psychology and the physiology. You can't hope that away.
Mhm.
I mean, when I was practicing chiropractic, and I'm retired for many years now, people would come in, doc, I have a headache every Sunday morning. Well, what do you do on Saturday night? Oh, I binge drink. Cases, I'm exaggerating, but the point is made.
Yeah.
We have to take responsibility, Jill, for our lives. And when we do that, it's like, oh, yeah, gee, maybe I shouldn't drink a case of beer. Again, I'm exaggerating for the
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
but there's a pattern, and we are the pattern maker in our lives.
Mhm.
And we all know people who have been to hell and back. Whether, I mean, your history is, it's intriguing, and you're now doing this gift giving back. We know people who live from their wounds, and mostly we call them victims. I was in a car accident. I was attacked. I was, whatever. I'm not diminishing any of these things. And how often do we hear that story from them? As distinct, and I will introduce you to my wife, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Well, I'll tell you right now, she was in an abusive 32-year marriage, which she could not escape. And her house burned down, and that gave her the impetus to say, I'm done with this. And she actually moved to Europe. And that's, we met on a webinar, much like this, a conference call. And she moved in a month ago. You will never hear her whine about it. She uses that as fuel to move her forward. And that's a distinction that people have to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, just take a look at yourself. Are you always talking about the drama and the trauma? Or we've all had it. Or are you using it as fuel to propel you forward? I
Mhm.
mean,
I,
so
I love exactly what you're saying, because even when I share my story, which is really traumatic, I always want to bring in, and I went to AA for 30 some years, so I did the 12 steps over and over and sponsored over 50
hmm,
women in recovery. Um and in AA they say, if you work the steps, you will receive the promises the promises of recovery. And you will have spiritual awakenings and spiritual experiences. So whenever I share story, which gets to be dramatic and can sound kind of victimy, it always ends with, however, this is what the spiritual awakening was as a result of this. This was the spiritual experience that I was blessed with as a result of it. So if I had not lived in the trauma I did, I would maybe not have received the amazing blessings I have today.
And
So
that's the
it's gratitude.
distinction.
It's
Yes,
gratitude.
live in gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I often invite people, if you can't be happy with the things you've got, be in gratitude for the things you haven't got.
Yes, I'm so, and several people said to me, because I had posted like to, oh my, hundreds of people in September what had happened in my life, and everyone was like, oh gosh, this is to be the worst year ever. And I said, no, I was like probably the best because I learned so much about myself. In June, my sister on her birthday found out she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer at 68. And so she was living in Colorado. She passed away September 28th. My beloved father, who's my lifeline, was rushed to the hospital the week before she died, and they never figured out what was wrong with him. He passed away 2 days after my beloved sister at
Wow.
94, and he was my rock. And he was literally doing 50 laps and a full circuit at LA Fitness a week before he
Wow.
died. So he was in great shape. So nobody expected it. The day he died, Richard, on the 3rd floor of the hospital, I asked the pulmonary doctor if he checked my lungs, and he said they didn't sound good. So by 11 o'clock that night, I was on the 5th floor for 5 days in with COVID. So my sister dies, my dad dies, I've got COVID, my husband gets it, my stepmom gets it. We have to sell my dad's house, do 2 funerals, and move my stepmom in with us all in 6 weeks. So everyone said that had to be the worst year ever. And I said, no. I said, in the healing process of COVID, I was able to sit in my hotel room for 5 weeks in a fetal position and rock myself and cry for hours of the longing I had for my beloved dad and sister. And if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't have slowed down through the midst of my business. So you
Yeah.
can take it the victim role, like, oh gosh, it was the worst time ever, or turn it into, no, it was the greatest gift of healing I needed. And I've been on a constant, like, pouring down tears, grief for the last few months. And it's like I'm flooded with it, but it's been good.
It's the fuel.
It's healing.
Exactly.
It's
It's the
healing.
fuel.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And
the
it's
next question is health. And you being in the health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity.
I used to have that poster in my office.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And it says here, um, biblical health, though, it says there are 7 areas of the abundant life. And that is biblical health is spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, financial, occupational, and social. Each area of your life is connected to all of these. What does health mean to you?
You just read the quote again. That's what I lived by.
Yeah.
And that's not true. That's what I still live by. And I promise people, you're watching this, that a headache is not due to a lack of aspirin in the body. That's our culture. We cover the symptoms. And today, especially in this craziness of what's going on, we're the only country where pharmaceutical companies can advertise directly to you. And you go into the doctor and say, I want this drug. Well, how often, well, if you watch television or read anything, there are commercials and ads for drugs. And what do they talk about? The side effects. No, they're not side effects. Those are the effects of the drugs. But if it's prescribed for this and it gets this, they call that a side effect. It's the languaging, and we have become, Jill, inculcated with believing that stuff. It's BS. I mean, would you rather have an upset stomach or die? The side effects of some of these things, and again, they are the direct effects, but we label them. and it mitigates the emotional response to it.
And it's so funny you say that because I have a really good holistic doctor here in in the Ozark Mountains. He's so funny. He's like 78 years old and he just lays right into me. And I went to see him last week and showed him my urine results, right, Richard? And they have 7 markers all pointing to a rare adrenal cancer.
Mm.
So he looks at him and he doesn't sit there and go, oh, you might have adrenal. He looks at him and goes, so what are you pissed off about?
Good for you for having him, and good for
He
him.
goes, so what are you pissed off about? So on my way home on the highway, I got in my car and as loud as I could for 20 minutes, I just screamed out anger. Get this anger out of my body. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. And I told him, I said, I'm pissed off that my sister and father died and I'm still here and I want to go see them. And so I want my body to be sick so I can die and go with them. And he goes, so is that what you really want? I said, I think so, but I'm not sure. And he goes, well, I guess you're getting your wish. And
Yeah.
like I had to look at that. It's like, I've been manifesting that in my body because I missed my dad and sister. So instead of, doing my grief work, sometimes I go into that, oh, poor me, I want to die too. And it's, it like it causes disease, right?
Yes, yes. And again, God bless your doctor for being in that space. Now, how many people say, God, I want to meet God. I'm bringing you home. Not so soon.
Yeah. So the last word is healing. And I think they're closely linked, but spiritual healing is defined as the direct interaction between one individual, the healer, and then, in the Bible, it's, people say, heal, like you just said, heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved. For you are the one I praise. And all the people tried to touch him because power was coming from him and healing them all. And so what does healing mean to you? Because you are a healer.
State of consciousness beyond all. And your story, Jill, reflects that perfectly. People used to come in when I was practicing, Doc, can you heal me? And I'd say, I can't even heal, can you cure me? I can't even cure a hand. The chiropractor makes the adjustment. Innate wisdom does the healing. The drug, when I had hip surgery, I'm in gratitude for the medical community. That's not a chiropractic thing. And Jill, I had open heart surgery. I'm in gratitude for the skill, but they didn't heal a thing.
Mm-mm.
They repaired the mechanism, and innate wisdom, source, God, whatever, ladies and gentlemen, you choose to call it, there's a power greater than we. And that's what does the healing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we interfere with that, see, the body needs no help. It just needs no interference. In the medical model, the first thing is take this drug, cover the symptom. Pain is mandatory. Suffering is optional. And who hates suffering more than anyone else? The medical doctors. How do we know that? Take this drug, make the pain go away. I remember decades ago, there was a commercial on television, and this man or woman, I don't remember, was running around the kitchen, and he talks about, this is my restaurant. I don't have time to stop for an upset stomach. So I take this, whatever it is. And what does it do? It stops the pain of his upset stomach. Doesn't heal the thing. The stress that the commercial suggested he was under, the stress in his life, which they didn't talk about, the stress contributes to that. That pill, lotion, potion is a Band-Aid that masks it. Mm-hmm. That will never heal it. Oh yes, an antibiotic will kill the noxious bacteria. And I can tell you from practice, often a chiropractic adjustment will let the body's own immune system raise to a higher enough level. And you're nodding because you've had that kind of experience where the body heals. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing when you make a radical shift here with CEO space. People heal the business stress that's going on in their life. Mm-hmm. We often attribute healing to the body. You heal in this healing in relationships. There's healing. I mean, how many people now are using service animals to help people heal,
Mhm.
especially in these crazy times? I have a very dear friend of mine. They both were diagnosed with COVID. Both spent a week in the hospital. And while in the hospital, he had a heart attack because of, they think, lack of oxygen. And it was Valentine's Day that she posted on Facebook. It's the first time they allowed me in to see him.
Mhm.
28 days. What healing is that, to have that love? And he's conscious, he's still on breathing stuff. That's healing. You heal the soul, the
Mhm.
body will heal itself. There's a classic story about a young child who's nudging dad, can we play, can we play, can we play? And dad's busy, 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 busy. And he says, okay, I have a solution. He takes a picture of the world out of a magazine, a picture of the globe. And he says, son, I've got some work to do. Go into the other room and put the picture of the globe together. And by then I know I will have time to play with you.
Mhm.
2 minutes later, the young child comes in. He says, Dad, it's here, all scotch taped together. He says, son, how did you do that so fast? He says, it was easy, Dad. On the other side of the page was a picture of a man. I put the picture of the man together. The world came together in healing.
Mhm.
Healing has so much more than just a cut or a wound healing.
And what I love about that story, because you know I'm a storyteller, a story maker, connector. What I got out of that story as you were sharing this was the little boy was so desperate to wanting time and love and companionship with his father that he needed to do whatever it took as quickly as he could to figure that puzzle out so he could connect with his daddy.
There's
Because the longing we have,
for connection.
that connection and that father or that mother love, the father love. I met a beautiful woman, Dr. Michaela Turner, who just created, and she's trying to market it. I got to put her in touch with you. She's trying to create a game called Daddy Rocks, and she made these rocks, and on them they have the name Daddy. And the whole game, each person when you buy, she's trying to market it. You put two rocks in that say Daddy. One of them you give to a friend, a male friend, and one you keep for yourself. And you give the rock to your children, and they hide the rock so that Daddy goes to look for them. And when
Mhm.
Daddy finds them, then you get to spend time with Daddy. And the
Oh,
children love it. And so then you share it with another man so that it promotes connection with men with their children. Isn't that a gorgeous game?
yes, and I would love to meet her through CEO Space. We work with primarily small companies, from solopreneur to 10 startups. I'll tell you two startup stories that are amazing in a moment, as well as when a young lady, she's gone now, Joan Gustafson, was the senior vice president of 3M International. So we connect people, and everyone has the same access. Some of you people watching this, you may know the name Lisa Nichols. When Lisa came to us, she didn't even have a dream or a vision at the time. And a really short story. Through connections and resources at CEO Space, she got on the Oprah Winfrey Show. She got in the video The Secret, which is the rage about 22, 3 years ago. She got a $1 million advance on her book. And Lisa doesn't come back to CEO Space. She's too busy. She's one of the most highly requested motivational speakers on the planet. And my understanding is she's worth about $5 million today.
Wow.
Chicken Soup for the Soul. Mark Hanson, Jack Canfield
Hmm.
created that at CEO Space. And the very first edition of the book said, thank you, CEO Space. And all those first stories came out of there.
Wow.
So when you have a product or an idea, or as a chiropractor, if you're a professional, you want to increase your practice, you want to increase your business, we only do one thing, and that's accelerate the growth of business. And hang around a little bit. I've got some pretty cool gifts for you to
Well,
help you do that.
we're coming towards the end, so would you share those with the
Oh,
audience now? And then what
sure.
I'm going to do, audience is in the links that I post. I'm going to put these specials for you, but go ahead and share those, Richard, for the audience.
Sure, thank you. One of the things I'm going to do is we often wonder what has to happen to bridge the gap between where you are in business and where you want to be. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to claim a discovery call, and that's usually $275, and that's going to be a gift to you, Jill, and to your viewers, ladies and gentlemen. Take advantage of this. The link for that is Richard K, RichardKaye.com/talk. RichardK.com/talk. You can see my name up there. And then there's something else I want to give you. And this has a value of $500. And you're going to see some of our faculty members at CEO Space. This is 4.5 hours of practical, powerful, and profitable information. Keynote talks from Lisa Nichols, Bob Proctor, Mark Victor Hansen. And you'll see how you can change your life, increase your bottom line by applying only a little bit of this stuff. And the link for that is Dr. Richard K, DrRichardKaye.com/brave. DrRichardK.com.
Brave Heart Workshops, brave.
That's exactly it. And then, Jill, I just released my book. Everyone, you may not know, if you increase your client retention by 5%, you can raise your bottom line revenue by as much as 95%. They say 65 to 95%. So I wrote a book 4 years ago, and my lovely wife said, put it out on Amazon. I used to sell it directly at workshops and programs. And that is available at richardk.com, Customers for Life book, hyphens, customers hyphen FOR hyphen LIFE hyphen book. And that'll take you to Amazon, or you can go directly on Amazon and look for The Secrets of Creating Customers for Life. It will change your life if you apply only 10% of the things you will learn in that book. You will put systems in place. You will have new technology. Some of the stuff you already know, you're just not doing it. Like life, the way we live life.
And I'll definitely have those links so that people will have. I'm confused, though, on something you shared today. So I need you to have clarity. At one point, you said your wife, and at one point, your girlfriend. Do you have a girlfriend? Is your wife your girlfriend, or do you have a girlfriend on the side of your wife?
So let me share a story.
You see, I do listen. I do listen.
Good catch. On a networking event, I also offered people to have a consultation. And this young lady was living in the UK at the time and said, I want to have a conversation with you. Well, what happened is, and she just walked into the room, what happened is that conversation turned into Angel moving in here about a month ago, honey. About a month ago. And so right now it's girlfriend, and we will be getting married very, very soon.
So she's almost your wife, but you're calling her your wife. So I had to I was like very confused on that. And I'm like, okay, I know you seem like you have a man of integrity. You're probably not cheating on your wife. Come on in, Angel. We want to meet you, dear.
Here.
If you're as wonderful, come in. Meet us. Hi, beautiful. Oh, you are an angel.
She really is.
Oh, Angel, when we're done, if you have a moment, go to my website, which Richard will direct you to, braveheartworkshops.com. And when I was 17, I was going through a lot of stuff in my life, Angel, and all of a sudden I just started writing poems. I only wrote, like, you're going to laugh, I wrote about maybe 10 or 12. This is so weird. I never wrote again for the rest of my life, but I wrote 10 poems, and one of them's called Angel. Wow. So you'll have to go on and read that, because it was like I just felt inspired to write. Wow. And then I didn't, and then Richard and Angel, God's brought me. I just finished an anthology book. It just got on Amazon called Fiercely Faithful. Wow. And he told me to write the chapter, called The Essence of Humility. And the chapter is about when I got pregnant and as a single mom and thought that the easiest answer was an abortion. I set up the abortion, and 3 days before, I'm taking a hot bath, and God meets me in the bathtub, and I see a vision of him walking down the path, being beaten, mocked, spat on, and ridiculed. He took on the most shame and embarrassment that anybody in the world would take on. And as he was lying on the ground, he looked up at me because I had just become a Christian, Angel, and thought that the only thing I could do was abort because I was too ashamed and embarrassed to let my Christian friends know I had had sex outside of marriage and got pregnant. So I thought my only answer, because there's only one sin in the world we can't hide from, and that's pregnancy. We can hide from anything else. And
Right.
so as this shame was being cast onto my body, and Richard and I talked about how we release all this, I saw God look at me, Jesus look at me and say, "Why do you care what man thinks of you?"
Wow.
When I died with more humiliation and shame than anyone in the world will ever face. I was pouring crying down, and the next day canceled my abortion. And my son is my greatest gift in the universe. 38 years old, most gorgeous grandchildren I have. He is the essence of humility, my essence.
Wow.
So you are Richard's angel. It's so beautiful, Richard. You won the lotto.
Yes, I did.
What do you mean you don't focus on hope? That's the biggest hope God's given you.
Yeah, and later I'm going to introduce you to Angel through her history, and I shared a little bit of it. She is a children's book author, and her books help children be empowered, develop. What are you saying? Instead of
Yeah, tell me.
Intelligence. Yeah. I write books that teach children through fairy tales, emotional intelligence, the power of love, and how to process emotions, basically.
Oh, wow. Do me a favor, Angel. Definitely have Richard in the email to me. Send me the links to those. I want to post those for you and promote you because I have my son who I just shared with you that had my grandkids. My little granddaughter, Addie, who's 8, has got a photographic memory. I mean, it's amazing. At 4 years old, with a placemat, she memorized all the presidents of the United States in order. I mean, she's photographic. And when you tell me about your books, I gave her a storybook of all the stories from the Bible, like Samson and David Goliath and stuff. So one day I'm saying to her, have Daddy read you the Bible so that you'll know. And she goes, "Grandma, I have the whole Bible memorized." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And I had no idea what she was talking about, Angel. So one day her daddy's reading her Samson. And it's 12 pages long, Angel. And all of a sudden, she's going faster than her father, and he stops and he records it. I have a recording she had memorized without looking at the book, just hearing it. She memorized the entire story of Samson. So she would love your books. Love. She'd memorize them, and she'd sing. She'll sing like loving to people. That's how she is.
She's an angel too.
She's an angel.
She is. You would love her. She should be your spokesperson for your books. I'll have to connect you, and she'll market it.
She could be my the leader of the fan club.
She will be. I'm going to connect. They're out. See, Richard, I knew we were supposed to meet.
Well, let me tell you one other aspect, because when you do an interview with Angel, you're going to hear her amazing story. And we are giving away 150,000 ebooks of the story of the book, so that young adults can develop that emotional muscle, develop the intellect to grow. And you and I, we're old enough, and viewers here, ladies and gentlemen, you're old enough to have a reference, a baseline for what we're going through at this time. This is transient. Kids don't have that. This is what they know. So,
And
Well,
further,
an adult's angel need the stories because we need to be like children to enter
yes.
to enter into the kingdom. We need to be childlike. So before we end, when we click off stop recording, stay on because we're going to get you an interview for sure. I want
Oh,
I want you on my show, and I want people to know because children's stories are so important, and they need it, and adults need to read children's stories. We need to
yes.
be childlike. So
Yeah.
I am going to show your bio really quick here, Richard. So this is his website and the way to reach out to him, and I'll have all those links for you. And Angel, stay on the line here. We're going to do a hard ending, and everyone, please, if your higher power, your God, whoever leads you to want to hear more stories of hope, health, and healing, please go to braveheartworkshops.com and register for the March 12th virtual live event. Dr. Laura Wood's going to be talking on embodiment and how when we keep those emotions trapped inside of us, how sick our bodies get. And she's going to show you how to release those burdens, and she's amazing. It's only $28.99, and I'm going to record the whole event. So even if you say you can't attend because you've got prior commitments, register to get the recording so you can listen to it at your leisure. So I love you guys. I'm so grateful that we met, and I look forward to having a strong connection. We are doing a retreat together.
We
A
shall.
retreat together. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for
Thank
joining the
you.
Connection Show. Bye
It was
now.
lovely to
Thanks,
meet
Justine.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on the Connection Show. Let's connect now. Let's restore, renew, and reconnect in community. Enhance connection in our online connection circles. It's a place to meet up, gather, and feel welcomed. To join us, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Click on the Books Podcast tab and then the Connection Circles drop-down. On the pop-up, join our Connection Circles Facebook group. Our circles meet from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Share story, topics, and laughter with men and women. To learn more about Connection Circles, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Thanks for joining us on the Connection Show, and have a great day.